Hello home group leaders, just thought I'd do a quick video to bring you up to speed as a reminder for those who were able to get there last night and for those of you who weren't. Thank you. I had quite a few apologies for various reasons and this seemed a good way to communicate. So last night what did we do? Well, firstly Catherine Davis talked about the new young adults group, 18 to 30-ish. Called Li-Fi, which is meeting weekly now, which is fantastic. So it's a delight to be able to introduce Catherine to everyone, and do look out for that. We'll try and publicise that soon. Then I thanked people for your involvement in just processing stuff about the stewardship campaign with people in groups. I know that, well, hopefully it's been a challenging time. I think if you confront the idolatry of money, and you talk about vision, it should be challenging. And I know that for a lot of you, you've worked hard at dealing with people's questions, anxieties and concerns through groups. And I really, really appreciate that. So thank you. We then talked a bit about the next season for the church. And if you like, there are three dimensions in our lives of relationships. There's the relationship we have of intimacy with God, the relationship we have with each other in community, and the relationship we have with the world in mission. You could phrase that as up to God, in to each other, and out to the world. In fact, on the front of our Inspire notes, that's what you find. Now, as a church at the moment, with the stewardship campaign, we've been very focused on I think, looking inward at ourselves, getting our house in order. Next year, we're going to be looking towards creating an imagination for mission, partly because we're moving towards, as a church, looking into if we could do fresh expressions, new ways of being church, and partly because going through Luke and Acts, it's very much about the mission of God in the world. Now, if we go straight from a stewardship campaign to looking at mission, I think we'll have an exhausted church. So it's good sometimes to say, you know, we've had the accelerator on, but now we can put the brake down. And there are seasons to say, let's pursue intimacy with God as our main focus. Let's seek to be encouraging people to rest in God, to listen to God, to draw close to Him. Let's make the relationship of our lives the focus. And so particularly through Advent and Christmas, that's what we'll be seeking to do in the way that we lead and preach, but also reflected in our notes, and I hope in the way that you're able to lead your groups. We talked about how to recruit people into groups. I was very struck recently when I went to a church, and one of the leaders was saying one of the main focuses of their services was actually how we help people get into groups. And so we had a bit of a brainstorm around upping our game in terms of recruitment. So if you could continue to pray about that, that would be great. We talked about the structure of our Sunday services, particularly 9, 15 and 5, in terms of trying to move the teaching towards the end of the service so that ministry could then continue on from that in an uninterrupted way. And I believe that when we preach, we should always go into ministry and response to God's word. And so I think we're going to be moving towards preaching towards the end of those services and moving into ministry. The few practicalities to be sorted out there. I told people about a church that I'd heard of in Newcastle, which has doubled the number of people in groups over the last 2 years. And the way they've done that is that each group begins with supper or lunch. They keep it very simple, low maintenance. Everyone brings the same thing every week, and it creates community. It's a place to bring people in. So I think that's just a question we could chew over. We had a bit of a thorny discussion, well, not too thorny, but about the prayer meeting and the fact that as home group leaders, it would be great if you could model the prioritization of the prayer meeting. And the reason I say this is I know that some groups still meet in the week of the prayer meeting. And I suppose I'm asking you if you could not do that in order that as a culture in the church we could create a culture of this is what we do, this is what we prioritise. It's never going to be easy to get people into prayer gatherings. Why? Because it's spiritual warfare. The devil does not want Christians praying. And therefore I think we have to make a real sustained, committed effort as leaders to model the prioritisation of prayer. So I would ask you please to make sure that when the prayer meeting is on, that is the meeting for the week. Even if it means you just end up giving people a week off, that's their choice. But if we want to build a culture of people praying together, then we need to say, this is what we do. And I understand some of you are really good at, if you have been meeting, at getting people to pray. But the issue really is about consistency across the church in terms of the vision. Similarly, we talked about the study notes. And as I've said before, the study notes are a resource for you. What the study notes do that's important, I think, is that they keep people on the same vision, in the same direction. They are focused on application. And also, if you consider what I said earlier about what season we are in as a church, they will reflect the season of the church, naturally. And so you may at sometimes discern that actually God is calling you as a group to study something different. And I would ask that if that's the case, that might well be the right thing to do. But I would really appreciate it if you could talk to me about it and let me know what your thoughts are. Because that actually gives you some support and accountability in your leadership. It lets me know what's going on. And if there are things that need feeding in around that, then I'll be able to do that for you. Just got a text there from our pastoral director. Nice to know she's looking out for me. So what was I saying? Yes, so if you're discerning that you want to study something different, that may well be right for your group. But I think that I need to know that the vision, the season, the application and the accountability in your leadership is there in place. Finally, Advent's coming 30th of November, and the Inspire Notes will contain the kind of resources that we had in our Lent Easter booklet this year. Advent, 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the evening, there'll be special services to launch it all off. Thanks for listening. I was hoping to keep this to 5 minutes, it's now 8. But anyway, God bless you. Thank you so much for all you're doing, and have a great meeting with your groups this week. Bye.